All right, everyone. Welcome back to this week's Peaceful Patterns Challenge. And as I promised last week when we did Fengle, this week we are doing Fengle 6. It is fun. It is a challenge, but you can do it. We can do it together. But let's start at the beginning. Hi, everyone. It's K-Red, and welcome to my 2025 Peaceful Patterns Weekly Challenge. By creating a new tile each week, together we can learn something new or be reminded of an old favorite. But most important, find some peace and calm in the chaos of this world. All righty, here we go. Have you been playing with Fengle, last week's challenge? I have been. I've been enjoying it. And this week, I think you're going to like this equally as well. So we're going to start nice and small underneath here so I can try to give myself as much room as possible. My little tiles are little, so sometimes it can make the step outs a bit of a challenge. But we're going to start just like we did with Fengle, but we're going to do 6 lines instead of 5. And that's all we need for step 1, are 6 lines. And I'm even going to put a little note, 6 lines, so that I can have that for me. So now we're going to go ahead and go on to number 2. We're going to give ourselves our lines first. I'm going to make them just a slightly bigger so that we have a little bit more room. How curvy you do or don't make your lines is purely preference, and hopefully you'll play around with it some and try some different ways. I'm going to remember to switch over to my red pen, and for the next section we are adding a 6 into the center of all these. I do it from the point out. I'm going to aura a little bit of the line next to it, and then I'm going to continue in and I'm going to touch the line to the right. Don't know that touching that line is vitally important, but I do like the way it looks, and that is how it's done in the step out. So that is how I'm doing it on my card. But in your art, do it how you like. It makes this beautiful little swirly center. And to me, by touching those corners, it kind of keeps them all together and it helps me keep them the same size. So that is step 2. Let's move right on to step 3. It's a little bit of a challenge, but like I said, we're up to it. So we're going to start with our 6 lines. We'll probably be very sorry that I'm so close to that. But we're there, so let's keep going. Now we need to do step 2, where we're oraing and doing a 6 where we touch. So now we have steps 1 and step 2. So for step 3, we are starting on this point here. We are going straight down to this next curve and doing a 6 or a swirl here. So we're going down and a swirl. This is one of the reasons that 6 lines on this work a little bit better than 5. It ended up not being too bad. I think it'll work out being too close. And so now we have the outside shape. Cute, right? You can start to see the pattern take space. All right, so we really should have 3 more steps. I think we're going to be okay with just doing 2 more. So for space-wise, I think we'll be all right. So let's go ahead and do our 6 lines here. So that was number 3. So now we're going to do number 4 down here. We're going to give ourselves 6 lines. Not spaced the best. Probably could have done that a whole lot better. I was in the groove of 5 lines, so I kind of got in trouble at the end. But we're going to put our 6s in the middle where we aura and touch, which I did not do very well there. Aura and touch. I need to slow down. I need to slow my breathing. I need to focus. Getting a little excited and ahead of myself. That is why doodling and zentangling is so great for me, because it slows me down, it slows my thinking down, and it helps me stay focused. So now we're going to go ahead and do step 3, which is we're coming from here, straight down and doing a 6. Now you don't have to come straight down. You can do a little bit of a curve or a slant, whatever works in yours, but for mine, that's what I am doing. And you notice how it's not too bad that that one's a little bit longer than the others, but hopefully when we do our final one here, we can fix that a little bit. But let's switch to our red pen, and we have done steps 1, 2, and 3. So for step 4, I'm going to turn my card because it helps me a little bit to be on this one. And we are going to follow out from this curve, from this 6. We're going to aura straight up, and we're going to shoot past that line just enough that we can come straight down, and it'd be about that same width. So we're going to aura up past it, and then straight down. And that gives us the outside. Once again, we're kind of up close to the paper there, so that's not so great. But hopefully you can get the image of where it should be. So let's do one final step here. We're going to call it step 5. And we're going to do one final step here, and let's see if we can get our spacing a little bit better so we can see what it'll look like. So we're going to start with our 6 S's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go. We're going to make our 6 sixes where we aura and then touch and give it just a bit of a fun little swirl in the middle. I think it makes it look so pretty. Now if you want for these inside where it's a little bit finer, if you want to switch to a thinner pin, you certainly can. I'm using a PN pin today, but sometimes a thinner pin can help you there. And that is step 2. I have my card sideways, sorry. That is step 2. So let's go ahead and move on to step 3, where we follow this line down and we add another swirl or another 6. Down and another swirl or a 6. And we're really starting to put the outside of that pattern into place. There, and you can see the outside of that pattern. So then step 4 is we are taking this oared out and straight down. I like it to have a nice sharp down so that we can get some nice points on this. And that gives us, like I said, some real nice points to work off of. So then the final step, back to our red pin, will be to go from here straight down and across. Now, I always get tempted to really pull in hard, but I think you're better off if you just come out straight to the place next to you rather than curving down too much. And when we get to the last one, I'll show you why I like it out just a little bit more than straight. So see on this one where I curved right down, and then you see on these where I went straighter, it makes the circle a little bit nicer. So that you have a nice little broken circle there, where if you curve straight down in, you follow that aura all the way in, then it can break up your circle, which is cute too. But if you want your circle to kind of continue on, don't curve down as much, continue up to where the next one would be, and that would be cute. Now, the 5th step that she has, and we're going to include it right in here, is she does some shading inside of here. Just don't have room for 6 steps on a pattern this large. So we'll go ahead and we'll add that right on here. And that is Fengle 6. Alrighty, so what we're going to do, that's just a little bit different this time. Now that we're all set with our steps, I do kind of want one all in one color. So on the back side, I have my 6 lines started. I decided to do this kind of off camera, so I apologize for having y'all miss the beginning of it. These lines are not great. This is going to be way too close, and that's way too far. But we're going to go with it. We're going to just keep doing the best that we can. And we're going to follow this in and touch the one on the left. We're going to try to stay about the same distance. I'll be honest with you, my internal critic is really yelling at me right now. But I don't want to start the whole card over. So we are going to love our mistakes and move on with them. Definitely something I need to learn and move on with. And I bet you at the end we're going to like it just fine. So now from here we're back to, what was it? I believe it was step 3, where we're going to go down and do the 6. It's going to give us that nice start for the outline of this design. That's a super long one. I didn't even quite make it all the way to the edge. So we'll just give it a little bit of a weighted. And so then we are going to follow this aura up right from that loop down to the top of the next loop, giving us nice points so that we have a nice point on this little design. Keep trying to find myself calling it a flower. I don't know that it really is a flower, but it does look kind of organic and flowery to me. We're going to give that an extra loop. That little bit of a challenge that I had. There we go. Then the last step is from about there. We're going to come around and do the aura. Then I'm going to realize that's my spot to stop, and I'm going to do the aura. Right around the 6 to the other side. And there we go. Let's do a little bit of shading on it, shall we? We're going to go ahead and come in with our pencil and just lay down some, and then I'll come in with the blending tool and clean it up to the edges. So what do you think of Fengle 6? Are you going to give it a try? As you can see, I am still learning it. I still struggle with it. I am still trying to get all of the dimensions right, trying to give myself enough little tips. But I often remind myself, do not wait to do something until I can do it well. I will miss out on a lot of joy. I will miss out on a lot of good things if I don't allow myself to do things unless I can do it well. I'm going to add a little bit more shading in the center here and let it kind of work its way out. And maybe even all along the outside edge. I tend to sometimes be a fan of a shadow that lets the whole tangle pop out. This is a tangle that I think would look good with an aura all the way around the outside as well. And there we go. There's the fun. Once again, it's called Fengle 6. And it is by Damien Zen. And I found it on tanglepatterns.com. Alright, so if you're watching this week's Peaceful Pattern of Fengle 6, you'll see that I just did the step outs. when I recorded this a few days ago, I went on and on the back, I did one full design. And I decided in editing this morning that I'm just not satisfied with that. I want to do better. And I want to show you all some of the ways and some of the things that I do to give me a chance with my pen control that is not great, with my non-artistic eye. Some of the ways that I can help make myself do patterns better than I would just freehand drawing them. Just some little cheats and tips that I do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm using a paper that's a little bit larger. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my middle. So I'm going to do that middle to middle, diagonal to diagonal. And I only put the X in the middle because that's all I need, and that just saves me having to erase some more. So I just do a small little one there. You all know my Helix circle maker, my favorite way to make a circle, but if you'd rather just get a cup or a bowl or a compass, whatever you would like, but this is my favorite way. The dimensions don't matter one bit. I'm just picking one for the outside and I'm picking one for the inside. Whatever works for you. And this is going to help me be able to make my sizes all the same. So I know I want 6 on each side. So 1, so we'll split it in halves and then kind of in a third. Just a little loose so that I can just free eye it to get my 6 S's. So I've switched to my pen and let's do step 1, which are the 6 lines. All right, so there's my 6 lines. Once again, they don't have to be exact, but it helps that they're all about the same length. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's my cheat one. So the next thing that we're going to do, the next step out, number 2, on our peaceful pattern tile, is we are going to aura. We're going to come up to this second line, and then we're going to touch on the right. Just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do these without talking. So I can make my lines with a little bit less of a hesitation. When you are drawing these, if you hesitate, and your line won't be as fluid and it won't look as good and strong. So there are the 6 S's in the middle. Not perfect, but perfect enough. So now we're to step 3, another S, or excuse me, another 6, going like that. I like it when it has that point down, so that's what I'm doing. And that gives us our outside shape. And you can see how much better it is when I took a minute and made my outside shapes a little more exacting. All right, step 4 is we're going to aura along here and then come down right about the middle. And I like that to have a nice strong point. I think that looks nice. Now we're ready for the step 5, which is the line down to here and over. And we talked about whether we want it to curve down or what. I think all that ultimately matters is that we just try to be consistent. So we're going to go right there, and we're going to do it with a bit of a curve. It'll make a little bit like a flower. And there is that. As always, I like a little strong center. I like these to have a bit of a swirl in the middle. I didn't really give them all that, so I'm going to go back and add a little bit of a swirl there. Let's erase my lines so they don't mess up the picture. And then she did the shadings in here, which of course is all personal preference. I used the size of my pencil so that it would all be super soft. Is it neat to see what a difference that blender makes? It could be cute if you put something like a hollabout in here, or maybe a cubine would be cute in here. Something so it looked like it was a window. I just felt like this, although when you look at it, it's got some great shapes to it. It's got some great character to it. This is not at all bad. This is just more uniform. And so this was really hurting my critical mind in the editing. And so I just wanted to do it again, see if I could do a little bit of a better job. Thanks for being here. Please click like and subscribe. Not sure if I said it earlier in the video, but if not, this design is called Fengle. It's by Dammy Tang. We've done some more of theirs that are beautiful. We found it on tanglepatterns.com. Fengle, which is our original pattern. We did it last week, so please click on over if you missed it, so you can make that if you want. This is what Fengle looks like. And we turned Fengle into Fengle 6. And here are the step outs for that. And then we redid it yet one more time, just so we could see it a little bit bigger, have a little bit of a finer point on it. Although now that I look at the two side by side, I don't hate that as much as I had. So hang in there. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how you deal with your critical voice inside and how you work with your own perfectionism. Doodling is a great source for me to try to get that all under control. We'll see you next week when we do a fun new pattern. Stay safe. Bye-bye.